Welcome to Fight News Now Extra. It's John Pollock with you to close out the week, along with Robin Black joining me. We're heading into a busy weekend of fight cards, and we will get you set as well, chatting about Mir Nogueira 3 possibly happening, charges dropped against a former UFC fighter, and a featherweight misses weight ahead of Friday night's UFC card. Charles Oliveira came in way overweight for his featherweight bout against Lentz for Friday's UFC card in Connecticut. Oliveira hit the scales at 150 pounds and gave up 20% of his purse, citing a stomach virus that affected his weight cutting all week long. The fight will go on, with the two paired in a rematch from 2011, where the fight was ruled a no contest due to an illegal knee by Oliveira. Lentz came in for the fight at 146 pounds. A flyweight bout between McCall and John Lineker is official for November the 8th in Brazil, following an announcement by the UFC. Lineker has won 5 of his last 6, but his road to a title fight has been hampered by missing weight on 3 occasions, but has successfully made the flyweight limit in his last 2 bouts. McCall is coming off back-to-back wins over Iliard Santos and Brad Pickett over the past 13 months, but has been dealing with a hand injury for the past year. All charges against former UFC fighter Thiago Silva have been dropped by a Florida judge, stemming from an arrest earlier this year in the state. Silva was facing charges of aggravated assault and battery, sending threatening text messages, and resisting arrest involving alleged incidents with his ex-wife. Authorities told MMAfighting.com that the victim was uncooperative in the case, and they believe that she has moved out of the country. The arrest led to the UFC cutting ties with Silva, who had fought for the organization since 2007. And Frank Mir tells Globo out of Brazil that he is willing to fight Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira for a 3rd and final time. Nogueira had recently stated he will be retiring by the end of 2015 and wants another fight with Mir to take place in Brazil. The two coached together on TUF Season 8 and fought at UFC 92 in December of 2008, with Mir stopping him in the 2nd round and then rematching in December of 2011 at UFC 140 in Toronto, where Mir broke the arm of Nogueira with a Kimura. And I am joined by John Ramdeen is not here. What has happened, Robin? Just days after this man started an all-vegetarian diet, he is homesick, vomiting.
Yeah, no, I think he also cut out caffeine. And this dude, I drink a lot of caffeine. I don't know if you notice on 5 rounds I go a little haywire, but this dude drinks a lot of caffeine. It might be that. His
system is crashing. I am fine, though. The guy who's training for a fight appears to be okay. We're still standing, yeah. And we will be hopefully still standing after this weekend of just multiple fight cards, including a card that has certainly fallen under the radar. Maybe this is a victim of so many cards being thrown at you this weekend, is the Invicta card. They are debuting on Fight Pass. Michelle Waterson, Yasuda Tamada, they will be headlining for the Atomweight Championship. And this, to me, was a platform that Invicta really needed. I don't think they could have continued with this model of just putting these on iPay-per-views, constantly refunding people that were having problems. They needed some kind of a deal, whether it be with television or at least here with the UFC, where hopefully more eyeballs can see them.
This Fight Pass thing is cool, man. If you haven't been using it, maybe you're not obsessed with fighting, I don't know. Maybe you have some other interests. But if you don't, Fight Pass, you can go on there. You can see all kinds of stuff. Go back and look at all these WEC fights. Look at all these Pride fights. But now, yeah, there's new content being on there. So, hey, will you watch Invicta tonight? You might not be able to. You got Spike TV on one thing. You got, the UFC on another thing. It's going to be pretty hard, but you go back and watch it Saturday or Monday, or if something brilliant happens, go back and watch it whenever. I think Fight Pass is going to be a great thing. There's rumors some Fight Network content could end up on there. Who knows?
Oh, my goodness. Wow. You got to keep it tuned here to Robin Black. Some breaking news potentially. Maybe some breaking news will be coming out of Brazil at some future date about a 3rd fight between Frank Mir and Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira. I've seen this fight twice. I've seen Frank Mir win twice. That said, does it make sense here to do a 3rd fight between these two who are certainly not going to be anywhere near the top end of the heavyweight division, but in Brazil, it might be something worth doing?
I think the fact that they are not going to be near the top end makes it more logical, makes it make more sense. At first, I was like, you know, what's in this for Frank Mir? I knocked the man out and I submitted him violently. You know, I don't even remember whether he tapped or just busted, and then that was the submission. Either way, he's definitively won it twice. What's in it for Nogueira? You've lost it twice. But in Brazil, as a retirement fight, and you got to think there's a very high likelihood of that, to go back and avenge 2 of your worst losses to what has become sort of, you know, your nemesis, That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense to that audience. It makes a lot of sense to Nogueira. And good on Frank Mir for playing along. He doesn't need this fight. Frank Mir doesn't need it. Good on Frank Mir for biting down and saying, yes, I'll be part of this.
And one of the great moments to me of the past couple of years was the UFC's return to Brazil for UFC 134. Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira coming back, beating Brendan Schaub in Brazil. There were people in the audience crying.
I think the Spider was crying. I think Anderson Silva was crying.
Like, it's a level of emotion that I think us jaded North Americans don't typically see at fight cards. You know what I mean? But there are a contingent of fans in that country that live and die by these fighters, and Nogueira is right near the top of that list. That would be the place I would want to see this fight if you are going to put it together.
I agree. It's the only place I think you want to see him fight, and we could all learn a little something from this. You know, sometimes we go, wow, my sports star or my, that singer I really like or whatever, they're so amazing. And that lasts for 10 minutes. And then we get on to the next thing. Justin Bieber just pooped his pants or whatever just happened, and we move on to the next thing. We could take a little time to really show some appreciation, really, let these people, let these athletes, these people know that we appreciate what they do, because you got a crazy busy life, you got a lot going on in your life, you take a little bit of time, get taken out of your life to see some beauty in combat. I think the Brazilians got that one right.
Yes, Justin Bieber pooping his pants aside. Maybe a tribute to Tim Sylvia, Asuero Silva. Look up that fight. Flyweight division as well, John Lineker and Ian McCall. Certainly a fight that makes a lot of sense at 125 pounds. And man, the flyweight division, I think, has been a textbook division of one that you were starting it off from scratch, building it up, and now we're starting to see it reap the rewards. They haven't created that flyweight superstar yet that is going to be a big difference maker, but you are getting the likes of, Justin Scoggins coming up. Where's that kid going to be in 2 or 3 years? And with John Lineker now finally seems to have it down of how to make this weight limit, Ian McCall makes the most sense, and I think this does create a viable contender, either one of them winning this fight.
He better have it down, because this whole bullshit of guys missing weight, that has to stop. Fans have to be outraged. The UFC has to be outraged. This is the level of professionalism. You must make weight, but it looks like he has that together. And I love the fight because, Lineker likes to get into that pocket. He likes to get in there and throw combinations on the inside. And he's facing a guy in Uncle Creepy who's been pot-shotting from the outside, playing that outside game and coming in, landing a couple and getting back out. So it ties together really good. It's a great fight.
All right, this man's getting ready to cut weight in a couple of weeks. September 19th, King of the Cage Canada madness, Robin Black in action. And right now, we've got more Fight News Now Extra.